The big Overwatch update did in fact come today, and although it might not be exactly what the hardcore PC audience would have wanted, it will buff the game in a significant way, particularly for queue times for lots of players. There's a lot of questions you probably have of the ins and outs of how this is going to work with aim assist, different parties and stuff. We'll get into that. Also wanted to mention that to commemorate the June Joust tournament, just like the May Melee, there is a Widowmaker skin now that you can purchase in-game by either buying Overwatch League tokens or cashing in 200 Overwatch League tokens that you can get from watching the games. This Widowmaker skin is available now until the 21st, which is about a week and a half. So if you're close on the number of tokens, you could still watch this weekend's June Joust tournament. Action starts up Thursday night NA, and you'll have to check the schedule to see your regional time zone. The skin is pretty cool, I gotta say, and a little bit more Diablo gothic than they normally go with skins. So a unique one for sure. Now on to talking about crossplay. Although Aaron Keller explained this in the developer update, the blog post has a much more detailed Q&A answering a lot of questions I'm sure you have. An important thing to note with this is that now everyone will need a Battle.net account to play Overwatch online, which although might not be too much of an impediment to the PlayStation 4 spamming out lots of alternate accounts problem, but at the very least, it's one extra step to slow them down, where they'll have to also generate a separate Battle.net ID for each subsequent online account linked to the system, even if you don't want to play crossplay at all, which I think, as you'll understand as we explain, you probably want to. With crossplay enabled, you can play all the casual modes, which I think is going to be a huge buff to the arcade, where a lot of those modes have longer queue times than I'd like to wait for. So the console player base that enables crossplay can join in on the PC queue times, which I think is pretty cool. I've already felt like PC quick play times were incredibly short. They could get even shorter, like instant, depending on how popular this feature is. Automatically, crossplay is not going to pit console and PC players against one another in the competitive playlist. But interestingly, there will be 2 competitive ladders for console competitive. One for each platform, but also one for cross-console play. I've heard reports of competitive queue times on the different console platforms to be worsening over time, despite PC being fairly strong, at least for quick play, honestly. And now, with the option to enable cross-play, well, you'll all be in the same pool together. So that's effectively every platform that you can think of, minus the PC, playing in the same matches, which was something that we anticipated needing to be a feature as the next-gen consoles have come through. And well, now you have cross-generational play. Boom, there you go. And although there's a performance boost to the next-gen consoles and a performance drop for the Switch, I think the most important aspect of that is that everyone will get shorter queue times when opting into that, which might save some of these other consoles that were struggling with queue times by combining a lot of players together. Conversely, unfortunately, if you choose not to do crossplay, similar to like the flex queue system, you're gonna have longer queue times than before. So just welcome your new crossplay overlords. There's a chance that getting top 500 on Switch will be harder than before as you're running at sub 30 frames per second, but I think you'll prefer that to waiting much longer. Now, note, it hasn't been officially announced when this will begin testing. Crossplay is in beta, so it's not out yet, but you may be worried about a few different things that might be affected, and the Q&A dispels this right away. Your SR won't be reset, your stats won't be reset. You'll basically keep everything you have, but now just have an option to have shorter queue times, essentially. I think the biggest focus is going to be PC to console crossplay, but to me, it's the inter-console crossplay that I find the most impactful of this change, to be honest. Because as an example, what you can do in other games is plug a controller into a PC and get put into the console player base. If I recall correctly, I could be confusing that, but it's important to note that that isn't the case with this version of crossplay we're getting, where when you have a group that is crossplay, so say I'm on PC and you're on the Nintendo Switch, we're put into the PC player base. It doesn't bias towards crossplay groups necessarily, but it's just in that PC pool. And in that PC pool, there's a series of kind of downsides, frankly, to playing this way anyway, where regardless if the PC player's on a controller or not, you're up against mouse and keyboard players. And your aim assist is turned off. It's not on when you play on PC with a controller anyway, but your console friend will lose aim assist up against PC players. So it's like doubly more difficult. So the benefit is you get to have fun with your friends, but don't expect some sort of like Fortnite levels of boost to your performance. Overwatch went the other way, where it's going to be a competitive downside. Whereas in some games, having really strong aim assist, like for example, Ana on console has insane aim assist potential, where you can put a slider up to 100% to basically not even barely have to aim as Ana on your teammates to not miss them. Trust me, when I played on console, I've turned that thing up to max. So that might be a huge learning curve for you trying to jump onto the PC pool against PC aim players, now losing all your aim assist strength. But it's kind of got to be that way, because otherwise you'd have this massive superpower over PC players who are trying to aim without any sticky aim whatsoever. But fear not, aim assist is enabled for all the console v console matchups when that aspect of crossplay is being utilized. So that'll play as normal. And the only benefit will be higher frames, which does definitely matter, console v console, but it's not as big of a jump, and kind of brings Overwatch into the modern day of gaming, in my opinion, where really it's expected that you can play these battle royale games on a mobile device up next to a high-performing PC. That's just like the nature of the gaming world nowadays. So all things considered, I think this is a very important feature for Overwatch to implement. It was definitely necessary for them to do at some point, so I'm happy it's here. I think it will revitalize some of those console communities that were probably struggling to find matches with now the player pools combined together. Yes, you have the option to disable it, but I highly suggest you don't, because whatever downsides you might perceive, having more players in the matchmaking pool always makes matchmaking better. There's a chance now that in competitive, when this gets implemented on console, it might be a bit of a mess. I'll tell you this from being a Switch top 500 player, those players getting put into like PlayStation top 500 would be a joke, okay? So very similar to how inaccurate things were with like off-roll SR. I mean, this is going to be an explosion of SR problems that I don't know how they're going to fix. And it's going to be rocky for console players to start with, but the benefits of the queue times, I think, in the long run, you're going to appreciate this feature existing. And let's face it, ranked on the whole has big problems they have to deal with. It's not like there's any way of getting around that. And the damage they cause with this feature somewhat existed anyway, and isn't worse, I don't think, than the super long queue times as it is. So you kind of got to pick your poison with this kind of thing. Now, I do hope that ranked improvements are around the corner. If not, you heard it here first, that console crossplay competitive will be a mess. So prepare yourself for that happening, as the different console communities are not the same skill level. And although the ranks largely match up, no matter what, the smaller a competitive region or platform is, the less accurate SR is going to be. That's just the nature of how ELO systems work. You need more players in them to sort of establish the pecking order appropriately. So those are some early concerns about this new system. As always, I will voice these concerns to Blizzard directly, but as I've done in the past, that doesn't always seem to matter to them. And I have a lukewarm enthusiasm that they'll listen to this cry in time to fix this oncoming problem, but we'll see as it pans out. Prepare yourselves, console players. I would rate the system as like 3 steps forward, but 1 considerable bumpy step back that we're gonna have to get over as the MMR and everything kind of balances out to adjust for crossplay. Because even though I didn't highlight it, all casual modes have MMR as well. So somehow the system's gonna have to try to judge your crossplay lobby of quick play or total mayhem or whatever you're playing in up against the PC pool, and that might have rocky results in its own right. Every player wants a balanced lobby, right? It's more brutal when it's wrong in competitive mode, but no matter what, that is going to be sticky, I feel, especially when you have players losing aim assist all of a sudden, expected to perform the same. There's just no way that that's going to make sense, right? So there'll be a learning curve to that. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it with a like. It really does help us out. Lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button to be notified when our new videos come out. I've been Frito for Your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.